So, obviously, warm welcome to Dr. Kaur.
Thank you, thank you.
Dr. Kaur is very familiar to most of us, I guess, as Secretary of Department of Electronics, Information Technology, Biotechnology, and Science and Technology, Government of Karnataka. So, I've had many chats with her, but fireside chat is a different matter. Yeah? So, and I do these fireside chats, and I keep joking with colleagues that, obviously, Dr. Kaur spent the right number of years and time maybe in Mussoorie with a lot of fires in the room. I also, for all my sins, went to boarding school in Mussoorie, and those days, schools never had any heating, so firesides were very important, very, very important. So I mean, I've been hearing some of the conversations, which you folks have been having, and some of the themes are very common. So, in some of the questions I have for Dr. Kaur, maybe I'll try to cover them. But clearly, the focus is Karnataka, and so in interest of time, maybe I'll come right to that. And I guess in many ways, Dr. Kaur embodies what's happening in Karnataka and the change around the GCCs for sure. I saw the Times of India this morning, and it said that 30 years ago, this day was actually when Java started, apparently, 1995. And I guess pretty much a couple of years before that, Texas Instruments started in Karnataka 40 years ago. So it's been a long time. And Karnataka obviously has a great run in terms of, the number of GCCs, and not only that, but maybe a disproportionate number in the terms of people as well. So maybe moving to the first thing, Dr. Kaur, in terms of, and I guess this conversation just before us also was the GCCs are a lot more. It was about innovation, about cost. It's a lot more than just support centers, what it started out earlier. So, and how do you see that landscape having evolved over the recent past, maybe going forward as well? Maybe when you and your colleagues in the government or seniors, when you talk amongst yourselves, do you joke about that, this could have ever happened? So, on a personal note, I spent some time in Citibank in the early 90s. And one of the first outsourcing things for Citibank as a kid I did was very simple imaging stuff, which then evolved into CISL, which then went into Oracle, and CITL, I think, which went into TCS. And I think any of us who were there in Citibank those days, if we kind of even joke that, we could have thought of what's come out of it is quite remarkable. So what's the view from the other side, if I can ask?
Thank you first of all for having me here, and pleasure to be with all of you this afternoon. Mindful that we are holding all of you back from lunch. But yes, it has been a great journey, I would say, for Karnataka and Bangalore in particular. You mentioned the entry of TI, which was 40 years back, 1985, and till now it's been a very, very interesting journey. Bangalore initially came to be known as the back office for the world. From there to where we stand today, I think things have changed completely. And there is hardly any back office kind of work which is happening today. So GCCs have really come of age in India, I would say, and particularly in Bangalore, because Bangalore has a much longer history and much longer presence of these international companies. So today, if you look at a GCC, actually, I have had the, I don't work for a GCC, but I've had the privilege of, visiting some of the prominent campuses and interacting with the teams over there. You walk into a campus, you don't even feel like you are in India or in Bangalore. Some of them have integrated so well with their headquarters that it almost looks like you are, transported to a place in, say, San Francisco or New York, where everything, right from, the way the work is done, the kind of work which is done, the customer centricity which has come into these GCCs, each one of them is, they are directly handling the customers sitting from Bangalore. And today we have more than 2,000 plus global leaders who are sitting out of Bangalore, which is again something very, very, typical, only happening in Bangalore probably today, with so many global roles being occupied by people sitting over here. So I think the way GCCs are operating today in the city, it's it's completely integrated. They are doing the kind of work which their headquarter does. They are actually like a part of the headquarter. And it's no longer, there is no lag in terms of technology, in terms of innovation. Some of the GCCs are actually leading the innovation from here for their parent company. And many of these companies have their largest innovation hubs today in Bangalore. So I think that is the strength of this ecosystem. It's more than just numbers. It is more than just number of years. It is actually the quality and the value of work which is happening over here, which is extremely high end and very different from the rest of the GCC ecosystem in the country.
Got it. No, thank you for that. I think, it's amazing how, I guess a lot of us maybe in the room here have worked for a large multinational. It's quite interesting. So again, going back to many years, I moved back with Citibank from the US to here as a young kid, and for all kind of personal reasons. Then I never worked in India. I'd gone to IIT here, but never worked here. So very apprehensive. And then, at that point in time, Citibank had its office in Shakar Bhavan, behind the Oberoi and Nariman Point. And you walked into Shakar Bhavan on the first day, I was 22 years old or whatever. And the office was exactly like how it was in 399 Park. So, the furnishing, the design of the office, it looked exactly the same. So, how smartly done. So, what you said about, positioning the mind as, it just put you to rest completely. So, it was very interesting. So, I think going back, to Karnataka, in terms of the GCC policy, first of its kind, launched last year. And obviously, one of the things that you emphasize in the special features of the policy is beyond Bengaluru. And I think a lot of the discussion here in the room also has been around that. And I think the common theme in this morning was that, on infrastructure, there is lots more to be done. So, in terms of beyond Bengaluru and, the initiative in ensuring that these emerging cities become viable, really, to the bit you said about when you walk in, you're not in Bangalore or you're not in India, but you're in San Francisco. In terms of that, how do you see that evolving, and what needs more to be done on that?
Yeah, so state is very aggressively promoting some clusters outside of Bangalore. Prominently Mysore, Mangalore and Hubli, Dharwad, Belgaum. These are the three clusters that we are looking at today. So a lot has changed actually in these cities, and some of the critical pieces which need to be there for GCCs to move are there already. For example, a lot of people, I think, especially the crowd that works in these GCCs, they're very particular about social infrastructure. So places like Mysore today boast of much better social infrastructure than many big cities in terms of whether it is educational institutions, opportunities to go out, restaurants, and all your socials that you can have. Also, these cities are, most of these cities, the three cities that we are focusing on, have a very large presence of colleges, engineering colleges, medical colleges, and they are on an average churning out 20 to 25,000 STEM graduates every year. So there is talent, there is good social infrastructure, there is good physical infrastructure as well, core infrastructure in terms of connectivity, in terms of airports, in terms of railway connectivity. I think all these three cities are doing very well. In fact, I was just looking at the statistics. There are more than 150 direct flights to cities outside of Karnataka from these three cities every day, every week. So that is a large number of flights. I mean, you can sometimes, it's very funny, you're sitting in Hubli and you will listen calls for, flight taking off to Ahmedabad, taking off to Kolkata, which was completely not there.
Right.
So in terms of, these are the building blocks, I would say, connectivity, physical infrastructure, social infrastructure, and most importantly, talent availability. All of that is there. But still, we find that sometimes, having a very, very strong magnet, kind of the other cities have been shadowed out, or they are not developing at the pace they should have developed. So therefore, last year when we came out with the GCC policy, the state has spelt out a lot of special incentives which are available for companies which are wanting to make this move to these three clusters. So certainly cost remains to be the bottom line for any business, and there is a cost arbitrage in moving to these cities compared to Bangalore. While we look at the global level, you know, coming from US to India or from Europe to India, also there is a huge cost arbitrage. But further, you know, going to these smaller towns gives more benefit. Topped on that is all the incentives which the state is giving, and incentives are right from, you know, acquisition of property to rental support, property tax, talent acquisition, internship support, support in terms of ESI, PF, all of that. So a whole lot of incentives have been given to see that these clusters develop. Also, the government is now setting up some plug-and-play facilities. So Mysore facility is going to be ready by end of next month. It is a co-working space with capacity of about 3,000 seats. And that we are doing a similar thing in Hubli as well as Mangalore, with the idea that companies which want to just, you know, test waters, make a small beginning and yet are very risk averse, can use these spaces. They are also, these spaces are also subsidized, and they provide you quality infrastructure just like you have in Bangalore. So that's another initiative that we have done to see that more companies, explore these geographies. Companies that have already gone, and I must, bring this up, companies that have already made that move, whether it is Wipro or IBM, and there are so many others which have opened their offices, they have all had very, very positive experience. They have very good stories to share. So I think beyond Bangalore, while we have been talking about it for a very long time, but it seems that now is the time, and we will see a big shift and a lot of activity happening in these three clusters at least.
Yeah, and long it may last. And I guess, as you rightly said, air connectivity has really saved, I guess, corporate India for sure. And this morning's newspapers talk of Indigo bringing back a lot more the older planes back, which hopefully connectivity will get better. So in interest of time, moving to, the other key topic around talent, skilling, which is, I guess, the biggest challenge for all of us, I guess, in the government as well, even in the private world. I have a very kind employer who's allowed me to sit on some external boards, and one of the boards I sit actually is a company based in Bangalore. So on Wednesday we had the board meeting, and I'm part of the CSR committee. And there I don't know if you guys know, but Dr. Caur will definitely know. It was fascinating. The government apparently is going around this program where they're closing schools, 20 schools, and making one big school. So this company where I'm the board of, 20 in that one district, 20 schools will close and one very big school will be opened. And that the construction of that school is $1 million, like 7-8 crores. A proper school where proper teachers. So at the grassroots level, that's fundamental change. But in the skills in the GCC, for example, and especially these new locations you mentioned, clearly, and the skills also getting more into what you guys were talking about earlier, AI, deep tech, and all of that. How do you see that evolving? You touched upon the STEM graduates in some of these cities. Do you see that as an issue? Do you see what the government could do on that?
So skilling, I think we need to look at two buckets. One is the freshers, where a lot of companies and a lot of higher employers, they feel that the STEM graduates that are coming out are not really in sync with what is the industry requirement. Because curriculum takes a while to change, and technology today changes like by the hour. So there is every few days, you have a new thing which is adopted by the industry. So for fresh graduates, we are running various skilling programs. Of course, I'm also these days looking at the skill development department. So there are a number of programs that are being run. But something very interesting which we have launched last year, which was also a part of the GCC policy, is this skilling initiative called Nipuna, where we are doing skilling with industry partnership. So it's a program where any industry can come forward to run skilling programs. And the entire program is curated, run, and industry certification done by the company only. There are, of course, a few riders that we look at employment at the end of it, which is not much, which is about 40% employment is what we take as a minimum guarantee to then fund that program. So a lot of large companies have come forward and they are now taking up skilling initiatives. So these can be, I mean, there are no rules or boundary rules in terms of, length of the course or curriculum or how it has to be taught, whether it is online or in person. All of that is kept very, very flexible to see that, the industry is able to train the talent as per their requirement. The other bucket is upskilling and reskilling. Again, through Nipuna and through other initiatives of the skill department, we are supporting upskilling also. Again, industry-led program where industry can do it, and it's also possible to do it for your own employees. It need not be for people who are, working elsewhere or anything. It can be for your own employees also. That also the state is supporting. So in many ways, and then of course we have from skill development department, we have this program called industry-led training. Then we have future skills program. We have also tied up with NASSCOM to run some of these programs. So broadly, if I have to say, today, besides what the government is doing on its own through its various institutions and colleges, we are very open to collaborate with industry to run skilling programs, because Bangalore, what it is today is because of the talent that is available.
Correct.
And we would constantly like to build and enrich that talent further. And state is totally committed to it. We understand how important it is to invest in talent. And I think there are n number of opportunities for all of you to collaborate to see that we stay ahead in this talent game.
Right. Yeah, and I think on the broader scheme, even NAPS and stuff like that has been very beneficial to all of us. Maybe last question then, in interest of time. I guess we are all in a very global competitive scenario. I guess Bangalore has to compete equally with Poland and all the other centers. How does that kind of pan out in the government's thinking? How do you plan to achieve that edge effectively, if I can call it so? You started 40 years ago, but how do you want to see it 40 years out?
So I think, as I partly covered this, our biggest bet is on the talent which is available in Karnataka, and it is not just talent which is local, but talent coming from all over the country, which is today working in Karnataka. So we would be investing more and more to build this talent. Along with that, state is also investing in emerging technologies through its centers of excellence, because that is another important component which will feed to the GCCs. So we run about 20 centers of excellence with academic institutions and with industry associations, and all of these are in very emerging technologies. Like we have on quantum, we have with IISc, we have a fabulous accelerator which we have done with ISA. We are running 3 centers of excellence on AI, one with IIT Alumni Association, so you are also connected in
Possibly.
some sense, and then with Triple IT and with IISc. So 3 centers of excellence on AI we are running. So I think it is investment in talent, investment in building capabilities to handle emerging technologies is what Bangalore has to offer. And besides that, I think our overall maturity of the ecosystem, having been in the game for so long, will certainly hold us in good stead. And one last thing which is very, very critical is the innovation ecosystem and the startups which are functioning and coming out of Karnataka. Today we have about 18,000 startups in Karnataka, and all of these, or most of these, are tech-based startups. A large number of them are also deep tech startups. And there are n number of programs that we are running to support this growth of startup ecosystem in Karnataka. Of course, our flagship program remains to be Elevate, where we give a grant of up to 50 lakhs to early stage startups. We are this year introducing a deep tech fund which would be again funding. It will be
A fund of funds.
string, not a fund of funds. It's like a grant program only for deep tech startups. No strings attached, no equity, nothing. But the idea is to promote and have more activity and more investment in deep tech.
Again, up to 50 lakhs?
No, deep tech funding would be much larger, and the window of funding would also be longer. So we have a very strong biotech ecosystem as well. So if you see biotech startups, they have a much longer gestation period, and it takes time. So we are doing a lot of these programs to see that this innovation culture is built in the state, and it's strengthened in the state, and I think that also feeds in very well to the GCC ecosystem. Today, most of the GCCs do have structured programs to collaborate with startups, and I think that brings a lot of value to the ecosystem.
Great. No, that's all I had in terms of the chat. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Caur, and as always, very insightful, very deep thought. So thank you so much.